to your presentation. So you can go ahead and record, Andrea.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tanya Coakley. I'm with the Salt River Higher Education Office. I'm the program accountant. And today's First Friday chat is going to be with Arizona State University. And go ahead and give it to Mario and so forth to introduce yourselves.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mario West. I am a higher education advisor, and I will go ahead and pass it on to Andrea Stanley.
Thank you, Mario. Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrea Stanley, and I am the Higher Education Program Secretary. And let's see, I'll pass it to Danielle Doctor.
Oh, you're on.
Good morning. I'm Danielle Doctor. I'm the Operations Manager at Salt River Schools Administration. Thank you.
And my name is Steven Tokos. I am Assistant Director of Financial Aid Outreach Initiatives at Arizona State University. Happy to be here and talk with you about financial aid. I'll pass it to Natalynne.
Good morning, everyone. I am Natalynne Rogers. I'm the Associate Director of Indigenous Student Recruitment and Strategic Initiatives within Admission Services for Arizona State University. Also happy to be here.
Dr. Fowler, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sorry, I joined late. I'm Michael Fowler, Assistant Education Director. I'm here with Salt River Schools.
Okay, so I think this is all we have here for today, but go ahead and move into your presentation, Stephen, and I'm going to go ahead and close up our cameras, and you can go ahead and share your screen.
All right, can everybody see the screen there, hopefully? Awesome. So hopefully you're here to learn a little bit more about applying for financial aid for this academic year. Things change a little bit from year to year, so it's always good to double check with each college or university, see what has changed. We'll get you everything you need to know for the current year. Again, just a reminder, my name is Steven Tokos, Assistant Director of Financial Aid Outreach Initiatives. I love talking about money, helping students understand how to pay for school. And joining me is
Natalynne, again, Associate Director, Indigenous Student Recruitment. Happy to be here and support you all as you think about your path to Arizona State University.
All right, so here's our agenda for the morning. Going to do a review of what cost of attendance is, something that you should consider as you're making decisions about different colleges and universities, higher education in general. Specifically get into American Indian funding, how to apply for financial aid, different types of aid, and some important dates to keep in mind as you move along. But first, before we go into anything, I wanted to make sure everybody's aware there's some new updates that just came through on January 30th from the Department of Education that financial aid awarding will likely be delayed until late March or early April for this current academic year because of the delay with the FAFSA. That they released a statement just a couple days ago that the colleges and universities will begin receiving batches of FAFSA information starting in the first half of March. So then we will begin processing that information. We'll determine eligibility and then post-verification tasks if needed. You can go ahead and proceed with steps to enroll, like the enrollment deposit, confirming housing, signing up for orientation. If you have any questions about those things, let us know. I've got the same slide as a reminder later on in the presentation, just to make sure that you remember there is a delay this year with all colleges and universities that receive federal aid. So jumping right back into things with the cost of attendance, there's two main categories of costs. There's going to be direct costs. That's money that you're paying directly to a college or university. And that's going to be some typical categories like tuition, fees based on different programs. If you're living on campus, housing costs, and then a meal plan. Those are things that you're paying directly to that college or university. Indirect costs, things that you don't necessarily pay to ASU or different colleges or universities, are going to be travel, right? You don't pay ASU for your gas or for your car insurance. However, you might need a parking pass if you're commuting to campus. Other personal expenses like your clothing, things like that, and then books and supplies for your classes. You can purchase those through the ASU bookstore or other sources as well. And I'll go ahead and pass it to Natalynne to touch on American Indian funding.
Thank you, Steven. So as we know, FAFSA is one of the big pieces that we need to think about when going to college, but the other piece that is also added that we need to start thinking about is the different funding opportunities that may be available to you as well. And so one of those would be tribal scholarships. It's really up to your tribe on what that process looks like. So I encourage you all to kind of work with the tribal offices and the education offices to see what that looks like. There's different deadlines. And I've listed here some of the items that are needed when applying for those scholarships or additional funding. One of the big things also with these is what is called a financial needs analysis form, which is a separate form that you work with the university to get filled out. And that form will really just kind of outline the different costs, as Steven was mentioning, of what is needed. And that form will be sent back to the tribe. And usually what happens is they'll kind of use that information, the costs that are outlined, to determine, the awarding. But again, every tribe is different, so it may not be the case for you. But just quickly going through the list, making sure that you have a copy of your Certificate of Indian Blood or CIB, or your tribal member verification or card. Again, each tribe is different, calls it something different. Some offices may ask for a letter of admission or just like an acceptance letter. They'll might ask for some transcripts. Also, if you're a transfer student or did some classes at a community college, you might want to be able to provide those as well. Proof that you've submitted the FAFSA. So again, important that you fill out that FAFSA. And then lastly, getting that FNA form from the college. So if you go to the next page, Steven, this is more specific to the FNA. So the process for getting that paperwork to turn into the scholarship office is, of course, completing the FAFSA. Then you would reach out to ASU Financial Aid Office to get a FNA filled out. They will fill it out on your behalf, and then they would typically send it on your behalf back to the tribal or scholarship office. And then from there, it's just making sure that you're in contact with the tribal office, education office, to make sure that all the paperwork that is needed is submitted and done by the deadlines, and then just making sure that you're following up with any other steps that are listed within your My ASU. Some other resources that we have on campus within the university, we have the Office of the President. Jacob Moore is sitting as the Vice President and Special Advisor to President Michael Crow. Within his office, there's a lot of strategic initiatives that I think are happening on campus, which is really exciting. It's important to create more visibility within our Indigenous student community, and that's a lot of what his office does, along with the Office of American Indian Initiatives. And so the Office of American Indian Initiatives, what they do is they kind of really embed themselves within the community, again, making sure that there's visibility, visiting elementaries, elementary schools, middle schools, and then also creating some programming for students to come and visit campus and really see what that college life is like. And then lastly, we also have the American Indian Student Support Services, which is once you are on campus, admitted to the university, and are officially a Sun Devil, this is the home away from home, as they call it, where you can receive additional resources and support. And we call it AISSS for short, but AISSS does their own programming as well. But I want to focus a little bit more on the resources, and one of them being scholarships. So they offer a website which is super helpful, and they list out different scholarship programs, as well as a newsletter where they send out upcoming scholarships as well. And that's important because these scholarships can, I'm going to describe it as stack on top of your financial aid. So you have your financial aid that maybe you're getting funding from, then you have your tribal scholarship you're getting funding from, and then these scholarship programs, you know, if you apply and get awarded, will stack up on top of it. And so that's what we encourage all of our students to do, is, you know, go through all 3 pathways, and, you know, to avoid having to take out loans or continue the semester with any debt. And so Steven's done a great job. He's thrown the links in the chat, so please feel free to look at them and use them as a resource. Thank you.
All right, so thank you so much, Natalynne, for going through a lot of the different financial aid resources at ASU. I'm going to walk through the FAFSA in general, some of the questions that you're going to be seeing as you begin this financial aid process. The FAFSA, in case you didn't know, is now open for 2024-2025. You need to complete this during your senior year of high school. If you're graduating early, that means, you know, do it now. And then you complete it usually, you know, the year before you're going to be attending college or university. So if you're going to be in school this upcoming fall or spring semester, 2024-2025, that's the year FAFSA that you want to complete. And then you need to complete the FAFSA each year that you're going to be at college or university. This is the eligibility requirements for the FAFSA, that you must be a U.S. citizen or eligible non-citizen, which does include a variety of visa types, including permanent residents, refugees, and asylees. You need to attend a participating college or university. This does include different trade schools within the state of Arizona and across the United States. When you're on the FAFSA, you can list up to 20 different institutions to receive your free application for federal student aid. There's 89 institutions in the state that you can send this to. So that could be community colleges, ASU, trade schools, all kinds of different opportunities. But you do need to be enrolled in a degree-seeking program. So people like me who like to learn for fun, we do non-degree seeking classes. I just want to learn a little bit more about this topic or that, but you want to enroll in a certificate or a degree seeking program so that you get that fancy piece of paper that says, hey, after 2 years or after 4 years of all this work, I did something really good. And it's not enough just to be in school at, you know, ASU. You need to make sure that you maintain satisfactory academic progress. The federal standard for that is going to be a 2.0, passing 2/3 or 67% of your coursework. Now, in order to do the FAFSA, you and any contributors that are going to be providing information on the FAFSA, most commonly that's going to be a parent, you're each going to need to create an FSA ID. So you can go to studentaid.gov and click create an account to get that started. Each person will need their own FSA ID. This is linked, if you do have a social security number, this will be linked to your social. You need to use a personal email address. If you do have a high school email address, please do not use that because those often deactivate once you graduate from school. And then use your own individual phone number. Sometimes I run into students who, you know, swap their parents or their own phone number, and then they can't use that number when they make their own FAFSA. So use your own cell phone number, use your own personal email address. And then it is important to remember you cannot complete the FAFSA the same day that you create your FSA ID. It's going to take a couple days to verify the information that you're providing when you create that account. It takes typically 3 to 5 business days. So go ahead, if you haven't already, make that FSA ID now, both for yourself, and then sit down with your parent or any other contributors, have them make their FSA ID so that you can get started on the FAFSA. This is what the form looks like. Again, studentaid.gov, you'll see that login or create an account in the upper right-hand corner. And then up there along the top as well, the FAFSA button. Once you're on that FAFSA page, you can click on Start New Form. It is really important that you select the correct year. Again, don't do this year's FAFSA if you're not going to be at a college or university for the current academic year. You want to do the 2024-2025 FAFSA. When you're logging in, it's going to ask who you are. Are you the student starting the FAFSA, or are you the parent? Either one is fine. Just make sure that you remember which role you're logging in as. We typically recommend have the student start the FAFSA and then invite the parent to make their contributions of information once the student section is complete. Parents, you can, of course, go ahead and get this started and then invite your student to complete the FAFSA. But in order to avoid confusion, sometimes parents start filling it out thinking that they are the student. Just have the student go ahead and get this started. There's going to be a couple slides as you're starting the FAFSA. Hey, what should I be expecting as I'm doing this? It takes about an hour to complete. And that every contributor, the student, anyone who's providing information on the FAFSA must provide consent and approval so that the FAFSA can contact the IRS to automatically pull in your any tax information that may be on file. Even if you don't file taxes, if you're not required to file taxes, that's totally fine. You still need to provide consent and approval. This is a snapshot of what that page looks like, and it just gives you that reminder. Hey, we just need to retrieve and disclose federal tax information from the IRS and input it on the FAFSA. If you don't provide consent and approval, you will not be eligible for federal student aid. So it's super important. Student and any contributors that are providing information on the FAFSA must give this consent and approval. There's often some questions about, different family situations. Maybe my parents are divorced or separated. Whose parent should I be, or which parent should I be providing on the FAFSA? There's a series of questions, and I've got that screenshot, useful handout for you to see which parent should I be providing. So it's going to walk you through on the FAFSA. Are your biological or adoptive parents married to each other? Yes or no? Are your biological or adoptive parents living together? Yes or no? Did one or more parent provide the majority of financial support over the last 12 months? And then lastly, has that parent remarried? Just remember on the FAFSA that parent only refers to the biological or adoptive parent or step parent. If you have somebody that's claiming you on taxes, like maybe your sibling or another family member, it does not matter who is claiming the student on the taxes. The contributor on the FAFSA parent is only going to refer to the biological or adoptive parent or step parent. This is what it looks like on the FAFSA. It'll walk you through those questions: married, living together, providing financial support, or remarried, and it'll direct you, hey, provide just that one parent, or provide both parents, or provide parent and step parent information. Once you answer those questions, you'll also you'll complete the FAFSA. You'll get that FAFSA submission summary. It typically processes in 1 to 3 days, but again, remember that first slide I showed you. There's going to be a delay in processing, so FAFSAs won't be processed until early to mid-March. Then you're going to get an email notification saying, hey, student, your FAFSA has been processed. The schools get your information, and then we can award you financial aid. Then you can make sure to fill out your parents' information, whichever information is required. Indicate their first name, last name, date of birth, and social email address on there. If your parent, again, doesn't have a social security number, you can check that box totally fine on there. You'll notice, for the screenshot, it is optional oftentimes to provide the information for that second parent. So I encourage you only provide the information that's necessary. Oftentimes it's going to pull in that joint parent information from the federal tax information. Here's just a summary of the sections that a student is going to see on the FAFSA, the personal identifiers and personal circumstances, kind of determining, do you need to provide any contributor information, perhaps a spouse or a parent or guardian, any demographic information, financial information for the student, the different colleges that you want to send this to, and then lastly, the signature page. Just make sure that you scroll down, click continue, and provide that signature. I've noticed a lot of students this year have been missing that signature option. Once the student section is done, you'll see this message, great, your student section is complete. Your parents or contributors will need to log in. It'll show the status of that contributor invitation. If you mistyped the email or you misspelled your parent's name or you put their birthday on there incorrectly, it's okay. You can click manage contributor information and then edit that info to resend the invitation to your parent. Then the parent is going to receive an email typically within 5 minutes of you hitting that send invite. This is what it will look like, accept invitation or decline invitation. If you want, parents, please click accept invitation so that you can contribute any required financial information on the FAFSA form. This is a summary of the sections that the parent will have. Again, those personal identifiers and demographics, but the important parts, the financial information, and lastly, the parent signature. Again, you want to make sure to scroll down to the bottom, click continue to provide that parent signature. Once both the student and the contributor have provided their information, you're going to receive this message. Congratulations, it's done. It's going to take a few days again for processing normally, but it will process again early to mid-March, and then the schools will receive that financial information. Just be on the lookout over the next couple months for that email from the Department of Education. I want to move into the different types of aid that you're going to be considered for as a result of completing the FAFSA. There's different scholarships that you can check out. I know Natalynne covered some of the specific resources through AISSS, but you can use some of these resources like collegeboard.org, scholarships A to Z, Arizona Community Foundation, FastWeb. Some of them are national scholarship organizations. Some of them are local Arizona-specific scholarship organizations to check with. You can also reach out to the colleges or universities like ASU. We have our own scholarship portal. We have our own merit scholarships that we evaluate students for when they get admitted to the university. We have college-specific scholarships based on whether you're studying engineering or business or arts or design or nursing, whatever the case is, we have lots of different scholarship resources that you can apply for there. Just keep in mind that a lot of scholarships have deadlines between December and February. So we're, recording this right at the start of February. You want to be checking scholarship resources really regularly to see and be submitting those applications so that you don't miss out on them. Keep in mind, different scholarships have different renewal criteria. Some scholarships are for 1 year alone. Some scholarships are renewable for 4 years. Just look at whatever it takes to renew those awards. And remember that scholarships are not just for first year or incoming students. There's scholarships for continuing students, as a current freshman or as a sophomore or junior. If you're a transfer student, there's lots of resources. We're constantly posting those awards to our scholarship portal. You can check again with some of those larger organizations to check for additional scholarships. There's also grants. Grants are a form of gift aid money that you don't have to pay back. You just put your hand up and say, yes, please, I would love some. It's typically done through the FAFSA. There's no separate application for different grants at ASU. We're going to award those based on financial need, based on the information provided on the FAFSA. There's going to be federal grants and then institutional grants, money, again, from ASU. You might not meet the definition of federal financial need, but you could meet ASU's definition of need. Our definition's a little bit broader, trying to help out families as best as possible. You can see some of the different resources there down below, the different types of grants, some of them offered at ASU. There's also employment opportunities at the university. Federal Work Study is one of those need-based aid programs that students are going to be evaluated for. And there tends to be some confusion about work study versus traditional student employment. Work study is a need-based specific position. It's offered to students with financial need in their financial aid package, but it is a job on campus, right? If you're not eligible for work study, there's also traditional student employment opportunities. At ASU, we have thousands of jobs, both for federal work study and for traditional student employment. There's going to be positions that are specifically for federal work study. They'll say FWS eligible when you're applying for those. You're not just going to have this money come into your account. You need to apply for that job, work those hours, and then get paid every 2 weeks, just like a regular job. Federal work study is just a partnership between ASU and the federal government, whereas traditional student employment, your money's just entirely coming from ASU. Either way, when you get that paycheck, you want to use those the money that you've earned to meet any remaining costs that you have at ASU or support yourself in any additional educational expenses. There are also loans. Loans are a really confusing topic sometimes. Just a reminder, loans are money that you borrow and pay back with interest. Not everybody needs this tool. But if you do need this tool, make sure that you use it appropriately, right? There's going to be federal and private loans. You can, look at the different private loan options. ASU actually only recommends federal student loans because private loans tend to have not as gracious interest rates, or they have strict repayment plans and repayment penalties if you miss a payment. So make sure to review all of those options before you make a decision. With federal student loans, repayment doesn't begin until 6 months after graduating from college or university, or 6 months after dropping below half-time enrollment. So you have time to figure out what's the best way to make those repayment plans. There's two types of loans that are offered to students, the subsidized and unsubsidized loan. The only difference between the two, subsidized does not accrue interest while the student is in school. Unsubsidized does. They have the same interest rate. Subsidized does have a need-based component, so not everybody is offered that loan. Everybody who completes the FAFSA would see some amount of unsubsidized loan. Just keep in mind that the current interest rate shown there, 5.5%, is for this academic year. Congress will approve next year's interest rate in late May or early June, so that is subject to change. There's also a limit to how much you can borrow. A lot of people don't realize that. Some students and parents think, I can just take out a loan from the government for however much I need. That's not true. These are the loan limits for a dependent and independent undergraduate student. The majority of students are going to be dependent undergraduates. And so you can see, based on the number of credits that you've completed, so a first-year student would be eligible for a maximum amount of $5,500. Now, to some people, that's a lot of money. To some people, that's only a little bit of money. Just keep in mind, just because you're offered that amount doesn't mean that you need to accept it. If you only need $1,000, you can edit that dollar amount and say, hey, I need $1,000. I don't want to take the full amount of money. You can see that loan amount increases each year for a maximum of $7,500 for that third and fourth year. Total amount over 4 years, eligibility would be $31,000. There is also the Parent Plus loan. This is subject to credit approval. So not everyone is going to be eligible for this. The parent would need to complete a separate application for this. It does have a higher interest rate, 8.05 again for the current year. Next year's rate will be announced in May or June, and repayment begins within 60 days after the loan is fully dispersed, which would mean repayment begins typically around late March of the student's first year at ASU. The big question, how do you review your financial aid? Reminder, I told you this was coming back up in here. Awarding will be delayed until late March or early April because of that delay in FAFSA processing from the Department of Education. So once we get that info, then you will start seeing that aid populate, but it's going to be a little bit of time between now and then. What you should do again is proceed with those steps to enroll. pay or delay payment of that enrollment deposit, confirm housing if you wish to live on campus, and then sign up for orientation so that you can plan your courses for the next academic year. So again, reviewing your aid, you can, oh, my apologies for some of these repeat slides. All right, there we go. You can always go to My ASU and review your financial aid on the Finances tab. If there are any special circumstances that have changed in the last year, you can complete a parent review request to be evaluated for additional financial aid. You can always reach out to myself or Natalynne. We're more than happy to talk through what's the special circumstance that you're requesting review for. I do want to highlight a couple special programs that Arizona has, that ASU has for Arizona residents. The first is the Arizona Promise program. This is actually offered through the state of Arizona. This is eligible for students starting the first year, immediately following graduation starting in the fall. So if you are a transfer student, you would not be eligible for this. But starting, immediately after high school graduation, you need to be a full-time degree-seeking student eligible for the Pell Grant and have your FAFSA submitted and received by ASU and admitted by April 1. This covers tuition and fees. So awesome program for students to consider. No application for this. You just apply to ASU and do your FAFSA. There's also the Obama Scholars Program. This has similar requirements, but a couple more on there. Again, Arizona resident, first-year student enrolling the fall semester immediately after graduation, full-time degree seeking with a total household income of $42,400 or less. You must also be Pell Grant eligible and meet all of our course competencies and aptitude requirements that are in our first-year admission requirements. You also need to have had your ASU application received by January 15th and have your FAFSA on file by March 1. This covers a student's tuition and fees as well as a portion of housing, meal plan, books, and supplies. If you have any questions about these programs, I'm happy to chat with you about them. And then I have a couple resources, not just for ASU, but also for University of Arizona and Northern Arizona University. You want to check out how much am I going to be paying with each school? I've received different financial aid. I've received scholarships. You can use those links provided here, students.asu.edu/financial aid/budget. It's an awesome document with all the useful links to figure out housing, meal plan, tuition, what scholarships you've received, and we have those same resources for NAU and U of A. If you have questions, you can always contact us directly. Each university has their own resources. With ASU, we have Find My Rep. You just go to asu.edu/findmyrep, and then we have different FAFSA priority dates to get connected. That's all that I have for you. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. If you have any questions, I am more than happy to answer them.
Hey, Steven. This is Tanya. The question that I have goes back to the FAFSA application. So sometimes we run into students who complete their part of the FAFSA application, but when it comes time for a parent to fill out the income part of, like in this case, they would send the invite to the parent. And what would happen if the parent declines to provide that information or is not willing to provide that information? Because we do come across this, what do our students need to do?
Yeah, if the parent is unwilling to provide parent information on the FAFSA and it is required, the FAFSA is directing them, student, please invite your parent to do so. If the parent withholds their information, then the student will not be eligible for federal student aid. So it is really important that the parent does provide that information. There is a little bit of confusion that comes around with, hey, I'm providing this information. Does that mean that I'm agreeing to pay for my student's school? Absolutely not, right? This is just allowing the federal government and any schools that are listed on the FAFSA like ASU to evaluate the student for different types of aid. So really want to encourage students and parents, please do provide that information. Don't withhold that information. It's not signing you up to pay for your student's education.
Okay. And also, I guess, kind of to piggyback off that question and those answers is a parent or maybe both have not filled out their tax information required for that year. So that kind of creates a situation where, again, the parent may decline because they have the idea like, well, I haven't filed my taxes, even though we do the prior, years for their tax information, and that can become a sticky situation for some families.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me post really quick just a great resource Federal Student Aid created with some of those common questions that do come up, related with the contributor consent and approval, things like that. I always encourage students to go and check this out. But related to your question here, what if a parent is required to provide that information, or excuse me, what if a parent was required to file taxes but didn't, or the student was required to file taxes but didn't? The FAFSA will actually post a message that says, "Hey, Steven, your income amount exceeded IRS filing requirements, and you will need to file a tax return for 2022." If the student and the parent, they submit the FAFSA, with that info, we will receive that, and we will request that we receive proof of the parent and or the student, whoever is required to file taxes. There is a resource. It's a little bit big. The IRS publication 17 that has all of the IRS minimum filing requirements. If I can real quick, I'll go ahead and pull that up. This is the one for the current academic year, or for 2023. Let's see. Oh, it's gonna pull up a PDF. Yes, but again, if you just pull up, I'll see if I can share the file here in the chat. But yeah, if you have specific questions about was I required to file, you can always check that out in on the IRS publication 17, or again, the FAFSA will direct the student to file.
Okay, great. Thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions? I do have another question, but I want to give somebody else the opportunity if they have other questions. Anyone? Okay. Sorry, was somebody going to ask a question?
Oh, hi, this is Erica. I'm a program advisor for higher ed. And I had a question about, okay, so parents who are hesitant to provide their information on a FAFSA, and, yeah, they're not required to pay it back, but are they still required to do the application for a Parent Plus loan before the student? No? Okay, that's what I was
No.
wondering. Okay.
No, parents are not required to complete the application for the Parent Plus loan. We, if they don't want to take out money, we don't want them to take out money.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, so the one question, the final question that I have is, like, you mentioned the Obama scholarship or scholars grant, and so that one covers tuition fees and some housing and meal plans or other costs of attendance. If a student were to be, well, one of our students here in Salt River, because we fund 100% of tuition and fees for our students who attend any of the three Arizona State universities, any of the three Arizona universities. So if a student were to become eligible for this Obama Scholars grant, is this grant considered somewhat stackable too, or is it, because ours is coming in paying 100% of tuition and fees, it pays for tuition and fees, would their award be kind of reduced to only cover maybe their housing or portion of their housing, since it kind of mentions portion? I don't know exactly how much it would actually cover.
Yeah, I would want to clarify with the tribal scholarships team with financial aid and scholarship services to see, because again, not knowing the specifics with each and every tribe, I don't want to speak incorrectly on that. I do know, as far as the housing component goes with the Obama Scholars Program, there's a standard allowance in the standard cost of attendance. That is the dollar amount that the Obama Scholars Program is funding. But depending on how funding works with your specific tribe, I can follow up with them and get back to you.
Okay, great.
You can also, of
Oh,
course, email
yeah.
tribal scholarships at asu.edu.
Yes.
They'll have the
Okay.
specifics.
All right, great. Well, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions that they want to ask at this time or comments on the presentation? Feel free to discuss or, and thank you for providing all those links. We appreciate
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
I got a question. So my wife is a staff member at ASU. How does that work with tuition? Does she have to apply something for my daughter? I have a daughter that's going to be a freshman probably in 2 years.
Yeah, there's if your wife works at ASU or actually with Arizona Board of Regents, one of the 3 state universities, U of A or NAU, right, included. If she's benefits eligible, there is the qualified tuition reduction program. To get into, I don't want to get into the specifics of all of it on here, but you're more than welcome. Reach out to the admission representative. I can get you the link for that to talk through how that would work in a couple of years for your student.
Thank you.
Okay, so if no one has any other questions or comments, just want to say thanks Steven and his team there at ASU for providing this information for us and our students on our Facebook page and all that. So again, Steven, thank you for this information, and hopefully somebody of our students will come back and revisit this series, and then if they have any questions, they can reach out to you or to the tribal scholarships at ASU and any of the outreach programs there at ASU. But thank you for
Awesome.
your time and the presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much for having
All right,
me.
great.
Yeah, y'all have a great day. Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right, great.
That was great.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you.